let me talk at ya. Welcome one and all to Not Just A Guy, the show about, by, and for struggling storytellers. I'm your host, not just a guy, the guy, Garrett Briones, and this week I am joined by my wonderful fiance, the editor of this very podcast, Emily Cunningham. Not just a girl, the girl, returning to the show.
I am?
Well, you're the girl, you're the guy's girl, but you're also...
But I'm the girl.
Yeah.
I'm the final girl.
Yeah, whoa. Hey, this isn't a horror movie.
I won.
We also have Fitzy Boy, our son. Fitzgerald Malcolm Briones, our beautiful baby boy, has joined us today for an episode that Emily graciously offered her services for because I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. Little behind the scenes thing. I've mentioned this. It's very hard. That's the reason why this podcast is bi-weekly, is because not a lot goes on, if I'm being honest.
Very, very dull.
It would just be me saying, I wrote 5 more pages of my script. Like,
it would be a video diary at that point.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in some ways, the podcast, that's what it's supposed to be. But in other ways, it also is just like, it's a slow, nothing eventful happens every week. So it's just, there's some episodes where I really, and you can probably tell by runtime, when I'm like, oh, I need to talk about something, and I find something to talk about for 20-ish minutes or 15-ish minutes. That's why sometimes I go on tangents about, like, Michael Mann movies and,
I know.
Daredevil and things like that. Because I want to ask you, how is it being the official editor of a podcast that you have to live in the same home with the person who does it, and also you're in love with the person who does it? What is it like? How do you separate the art and the life?
That I'm forced to, by marital...
You offered.
I'm forced by marital, promises.
Yeah.
To do. No, I don't mind doing it. I feel bad because, like, there's a lot of times where, like, it's mainly my problem that I just, like, want to get it done and edited out.
Yeah. So
a lot of the time, Garrett has multiple times watched me, like super speed through it to match it and get rid of the ums.
Yeah. A lot of ums.
The ums and the
and
because I can see it.
Yeah.
I pointed out to him the last time I was editing it. It's literally like I know exactly what I'm looking for because I know what they look like on the audio side. But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's nice. I have a fun time.
Well, I mean, you're the first listener.
That's true. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and viewer, and then the second is Laura. He's
Yeah.
always right there. He's the #1 fan. So, something I want to ask you about. It's been about 2-ish years since you've been on the show. You're still in what has gone on what has gone in your life as are you still, let me ask you, it's been a while since I had a guest. I always start with this with a guest. Are you struggling?
God, yeah.
And if so, how? Let the people know. How are you struggling as a struggling storyteller? How are you feeling as a person and your journey as a storyteller?
I mean, we're getting married.
That is correct. I was told I don't talk about that enough on the show.
You don't. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, like, it matters,
yeah.
but not like.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Fitz. No, I struggle in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
It's been combination of struggling with, like, balance, I think, because it's a tough market out there right now.
Yeah.
Especially for an editor.
Can you let the people know? People know that you are an editor, but can you let them know what exactly where you are right now in the field of edit, like in your career?
Yeah. So I edit the podcast, and as my actual job, I do, I guess, what is classified as entertainment marketing. So, for instance, all of those really annoying YouTube ads that play for new movies coming out, or like TikTok ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, stuff like that, like stuff that you participate in socially. And sometimes it's like TV and movie based as well. Like, I've seen a couple of trailers that were cut with my trailer house when we go to the movies a lot. You've heard me mouth them because I've heard them so many times. So that's the scope of what I'm in, which normally is a very lucrative thing, but with my specific company, it's very small. It's considered like a boutique trailer house because it's so new and it's smaller. Like, we don't even have more than like 20 people working there, including myself. So I'm technically, as of right now, I'm on a freelance contract. So I went from being a full-time employee And then holidays are usually our lulls to then being freelance. So I can kind of help pick up where everything needs to get picked up and stuff like that. But it's cool. It's very fun. It's made me realize that there are some movies that I really want to see, and then there's some movies I never want to hear about again. So it's cool. It's very cool. I don't mind it. It's not exactly my end goal with stuff, but it's a foot in the door, which is, I think, arguably the hardest part of doing what we do. So
what do you think, for people, I think there's just like an umbrella idea of editing. What is there, like an example you can think of, or not maybe an example, but can you kind of walk people through like narrative editing, like what you went to school for, versus like marketing editing? Like, is there more cooks in the kitchen? Does one feel more personal than the other? Like, is it kind of comparable to like, well, I have a director telling me, oh, I like this edit, but I want this different. Like, where are they in the hand holding club, and then where are they kind of separate? Like
in the Venn diagram.
Like there's like a Venn diagram. Like where do they intersect?
Middle?
And then like well, this is what marketing is more like, and this is what narrative is more like.
I mean, it's not that different. Like, it's honestly, so I can at least say, like, one of like the main differences is the turnarounds. Yeah. Because with movies, you have, like, movies or TV shows, yes, I know, it's so interesting. With movies or TV shows, you have a definitive, like, time where something needs to be done. So like Sinners. Yeah. Go watch it. It's very good.
Very good.
That was a definitive, like, coming out on like April 21st or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
And
18th.
Yeah, and that was at deadline.
Yeah.
That's when that's when it was coming out. Usually there's like a week or like even a month, depending on how big the release is and stuff like that, to where it needs to be out for like testing or whatever. With trailer house editing, those are even tighter turnarounds, because if you think about it, we're the ones who are pushing out
you're like that stuff.
And a lot of the times, like, you're dealing with either very minimal, so like one project that I cannot talk about because NDAs exist, like, we're being fed, like, spoon-fed in the beginning. And this was a project that we started working on, like, last year. Like, beginning of last year. And we're still working on it to this day. So it's been way over the course of, like, almost 2 years at this point. They've just kind of been, like, giving us things little by little by little, because it wasn't made yet. Yeah. It wasn't shot yet. There was stuff that was still being tweaked. And, like, there's even still stuff that, like, we have to tweak a lot. And, like, we create on our end, like, on the back end, which is weird sometimes, because, like, we have to, like, now for some reason we've been dealing heavily with, like, AI, which has been helpful, but it's weird. But in the end of the, like, at the end of the day, because I believe there's, like, a law passed in California that actors have to get paid for what they do, even if it is AI, they still need to do that and get paid.
It's like getting paid for your likeness, even if it's not you.
Exactly. So, like, there's still a lot that goes into things on our end, whether we have the full movie or the full season of a show or not. Like, we can literally have, like, 1 or 2 scenes, and then it's just, like, nothing but, like, title cards. Yeah. So, like, that's probably one of the biggest differences is, like, the turnaround times. But, like, you're still telling a story. You're just telling it in a much smaller window of time. Yeah. Like, you're having to get the point across in 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, like, or even a 2-minute trailer. Like, it depends. There's also, like, sneak peeks and stuff for, like, CinemaCon and things like that, but, like, very, very small. Yeah. So it's very stressful half the time, because you're, like, trying to make things make sense, promote what it is that you're trying to promote of the story. But then sometimes you have it where it's like, it doesn't even match the movie or the show at all. Which is kind of fun. Because I personally love when that happens. Yeah. Because you can, like, trick people into thinking it's, like, like the Thunderbolts trailers. There's, like, the A24 style one. Yeah. And there's, like, the typical, like, traditional Marvel one. Yeah. Those are, like, 2 different movies. Exactly, yeah. Depending on which one you've seen first. Or, like, if you watch them compare, like, they don't look like
the same movie.
It's the same movie at all. So, yeah, but it's still narrative. It's still, you know, a fun time. Fitzy's treating the couch as a jungle gym.
I know. I'm hoping he doesn't knock the camera. And that's even something interesting. Like, you speaking about that is just even it shows the power of editing. It's like they say, you know, you make a movie 3 times. You make it when you write it, in production, and then in the edit bay. You can take, a personal example I have is when we made Undie in college, Jack took what Emily and I had shot, and when we had to do a special presentation in our production workshop, which was like the last thing you took in college in film school.
It's like your senior project.
Yeah. And we had, although I actually forgot to turn on the sound when I shared my screen, Jack had pitched the idea, do you want me to, or I think we had said like, hey, let's make a trailer before we do the screening. And in my presentation, I'll show the trailer. And I think he had pitched, he's like, should I make it as if it's a straight horror movie? Like, because it's a...
Did he do that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. In my presentation, and I still have it to this day. He made a trailer for Undie using everything that we had, but he used music and sound effects to make it seem like, oh man, they just made a straight up horror movie.
Like only the horror.
And he hid all the comedy, because the thing is primarily a comedy. He hid all of the comedic elements and just made it look like a horror movie, basically.
I remember that because I remember everybody and their mother being like, horror's really hard to do, and you gotta really time those scares. Like, I hope you know what you're in for. And then all 3 of us were like,
also, that was the thing that was also funny because I forgot to share my sound. I shared my screen, but I forgot to share my sound, so people thought that the joke was we forgot to put in sound because they're like, that just seems like something you guys would do. I was like, no, I just forgot to share my sound. Because I realized after I had music playing under my presentation too. I had the Get On Up from Spider-Man 3 was playing underneath my presentation. I forgot to share my sound, so no one heard it, and I felt really embarrassed. But yes, I get what you're saying, and it's interesting to hear about how, like, because the world of editing, it eludes me. I mean, I had to edit in college, and I was okay at it because I was forced to be.
We did for grade.
Yeah, my whereas yours is like, it's like precise as if you're using like a knife. Mine was just like I had like
a butcher.
It's like as if you took one of those paper cutters and you ripped off the thing. I like my cuts would sometimes just be like, it'd be like a smack. You could almost hear them. So I want to ask you, 2 years ago when you were in the same profession. At the time, you were at a different place, and then obviously that story ended, and then you dovetailed into this one. 2 years on, you're still working in entertainment marketing. Where do you feel you are at the moment in your storytelling journey? Is this where those struggles come in? Like, do you think is that you in 2 years? Do you think you're still going to be an entertainment marketer? Are you trying to kind of get out of that field? Like, where do you feel?
Yeah.
What progression do you think you've made in the last 2 years? As big or as little progression? What? How do you feel like you have progressed in that 2 years?
I mean, I've definitely, I think, got the hang of the expectation of time, because that was something at my first trailer house that I didn't necessarily understand, because so for context, my first place, I started as a PA, a production assistant, and would do basic, very, very basic things. Stuff that wouldn't catch the building on fire. And that would also kind of give you a taste of like, okay, well, this is what you do when you're a junior AE, a junior assistant editor, which isn't a real thing, but people do that. And then so on and so forth. So I worked my way up from being a PA to a junior AE, and then kind of got a scope of like what, like, and it's all like, on paper, my job isn't that interesting. Like, if you're really looking at it, I'm sending emails and I'm just messing with like Google Sheets a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much, and like on occasion, like I'm doing those 2 things, organizing a lot, and then just like making sure that everybody has what they need, and just I'm essentially a glorified middleman. Like, that's what I do. And it's a very necessary thing, because it's like when you're working with crazy time frames and you're working with like highly, highly sensitive material, like we're in the government or something. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like secretive stuff.
You have to sign in, like you said, you have to sign NDAs for it. It's not stuff that you can just post on your Instagram,
It's, not until like way after the
fact. I mean, you can't just like take make a boomerang of like, this is what I'm working on, and it's,
peep the timeline. Like, you can't. But it's, on paper, it's not that crazy of a job.
Yeah.
Like, it really is like I'm a glorified middleman who just
That's the title.
Glorified middleman.
That's the title.
That's me, baby. Yeah. Hire me if you'd like. I don't know. But, no, but it's, when you're in it, though, it's entirely different because you're doing all of those things that are on paper, but you're also doing all of those things times like 10.
Yeah.
Because it's a constant flow of emails. It's a constant thing of sending out things to the client you're working with. You're making sure that everything's good. You're pulling in so much media. You're spitting out so much media, and you're doing like in a given day on a normal, like pretty steady day, I'm doing at least 30 things at once.
Okay.
In a given time.
Yeah.
So it is a lot going on.
Yeah.
Normally, also, though, you wouldn't be doing nearly as much if it was a grander scale. Now, remember, I am at a smaller place.
Yeah.
So there's only 3 of us, including myself. So ideally, we probably, between the 3 of us, are doing the work of like maybe 5 or 6 people, which is like, you make it work. It sucks.
Yeah.
But you make it work. Because how everything is like, especially right now, we're still weirdly recuperating from COVID.
Yeah.
And having those skeleton crews and having, like, we got our lifeboat and there's 5 people and there's only 4 life vests. Like, get with it or get out sort of a thing. So it's like a very weird amalgamation of just, like, you're making things work for what it is, but when you make it work, it's so killer because it works. And then you just get to, like, take a breath and be like, oh, cool. We did it.
Yeah.
All right, next thing. Like
like
that's
right
usually
yeah.
It's not my final resting place.
Yeah.
For sure. And I actually brought this up the other day where I thought it was like funny to think about how when I was leaving college, which granted, I went into college to be an actor, did not happen at all. And I'm so happy it didn't, because even right now, this is weird for me.
Well, hey, you're going to be acting in Crusades of the Nexus,
Voice
my friend.
acting, though.
Well, but that's still acting.
Well, yeah, but I don't have to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I can make my voice sound funny, and nobody even knows it's me.
I really hope you don't use that voice.
I might, I don't know. But I went in for acting, much like you, took an editing class because I had to, and found out that it's like video games.
Yeah.
It just tweaked my brain just right, and then it just went.
Could you expand on that a little bit? Like, what when you say that it was like video games, like what do you mean?
Well, it
for people that don't know, you are an avid gamer. You play every day.
Yes,
nothing wrong with that.
I like a girl has hobbies.
Yeah.
That's all. No, I'm a gamer. It's
a gamer girl.
Gamer.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow! I need a fedora. No,
Milady.
I'm Milady. No, I play a lot of games.
What do you play?
A lot of Red Dead.
What do you play it on?
PC.
What kind of specs?
I have to check.
What's the build, bro?
I actually built my own computer.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've spilled matcha in it and had a heart attack, and then it actually was safe. I was very happy about that. But I like little things like that though. Like building my PC was like something I never thought I would be able to do in a billion years, because I'm like, I'm not smart enough to understand that. It's like, no, it's super easy.
Yeah.
Reddit is your friend. Like, it's, well, for this, but like I've played I've played games. I have played games since I was a kid, like playing little CD-ROM games like Pajama Sam and all that. Like I loved those games. And I was always like very tech savvy even as a kid, where it was like, with those CD-ROMs, I knew how to download it to my parents' like home computer to play it. So like it's always been like a thing with me to be very like computer savvy. And that's always like been a thing. And then in high school, I kind of lost that a bit, just like trying to be active and social, like playing sports and trying to make friends and what have you. And then college came around and I kind of like rediscovered that. Yeah. Which also, granted, it probably scratched an itch in my brain because later on in college, I found out that I had a fun little thing called ADHD, and that was very scary, but also very fulfilling. Almost like an elephant finally took its foot off of my chest. That is like a very weird little quirky thing in my brain where it's like, funny thing on screen, make brain go pee. Like it's fun. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like the constant stimulation, much like video games. Yeah. I get that through editing because you can just go and like do things and cut and mash things together and match it and da 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 da. So it's like it's just overall, I think it's satisfying in one way, shape, or form. It's also equally just as frustrating.
Yeah.
But it is very satisfying, I think. I don't know.
Speaking about, like, editing, entertainment marketing, and I think that this would be valuable for people to hear on the show. We're open, we're honest. I mean, you just talked about, your ADHD.
Yeah.
I've talked on the show about, being let go from a job and stuff like that. And I know that you, in the past couple of years, with that, with the industry, that's happened a couple different times. I think it'd be valuable for people to hear, like, how you manage that from, like, the moment you got that news, especially, because it's not just like, oh, I like editing. It's just like, this is what's paying your bills and things like that. How do you manage with that sort of loss, especially in this industry where it's just at the drop of a dime, anything can change? I'm sure in the past people have lost some kind of job as well, but what is something that from your own personal experiences that you can offer, or you can kind of just say, like, if that happens to you, consider these things?
Yeah. Know that even if it was your fault, there's always things that you can reflect on, but know that that's not it. That's not the end. That is not, the book is closed. Yeah. There's nothing more. You have failed. That is, I think, the biggest thing, because I think it's very easy, as somebody who has been through that, it is very easy to think, like, maybe this isn't for me. Right. Like, this big, so the first place that I worked at, the first trailer house, was big enough to be considered like a corporate thing. It was, it had a lot of people. It was like a fully functioning, like we were in a building, and it was all very, like, fully functioning. We had constant work coming in and this, that, and the other, and people were awesome there, but just didn't work out. And later down the line, I found out that they were just making cuts to save money, which is another big thing that people love to do, which is terrible, but it is what it is. You have to roll with the punches. I had genuinely thought that getting let go of that job was like, you weren't meant to do this. This isn't your thing. As in, like, editing as a whole.
It's just, no point.
No, and I mean, I
give up.
Yeah, but, like, you've seen how I was at that job. Yeah. And it was brutal.
Yeah, like, the hours were.
I mean,
I go to sleep at almost midnight, and you'd still be working.
Yeah, and that was when I was lucky enough to be working from home. Yeah. So, like, and that's still a very, like, prominent thing. Like, the latest I've spent working in a given night was like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. Starting at like 9:30 a.m. So it just depends, but like.
Not to get off track. Just want to ask real quick, because I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. Older fogies like to bitch about work from home. Can you talk the pros and cons of working from home? Because I think that has been something in the last 5 years that I have noticed is a game changer in a lot of
Well, that ties into that. Honestly, ties into like feeling that like disconnect. Because unfortunately, we were in a place where we kind of got screwed over by a global pandemic. Yeah. Our senior year, which that should have been the year, or I believe it was like ending of junior year or something like that.
It was when it like started because it was March 2020. So yeah.
Yeah. So when that happened, that kind of set a course for us. Definitely, like it like kiltered off of the course that we were meant to be on for all of that, because that, like, I genuinely believe this, and I'm so happy that we're talking about this, because I don't know who else to talk to about this for whoever went to CCH and was in our grade.
We don't speak that name.
Sorry, redacted. No, I'm gonna bleep that out.
You're fine. I mean, it's no one uses the name anymore.
Oh, true.
So it's wide open.
No, but I
wink, wink.
But I truly believe that we got screwed on a lot of things, but the biggest thing that I think that we got screwed on was having the connections that we were meant to have to go out and use those connections, because I cannot tell you how many times if I was like looking for a job like on LinkedIn and it's like fill in the blank members of Columbia College Hollywood alumni work here, and it's like, okay, but how did you get there? Like, how did you get into that? It's like, then it's like the weird internalization of like, did I do enough? And what did I talk to the right people? Like, whatever. But that being said, I think we got really screwed on that. But that also opened up an amazing new world for people like me. Mm-hmm. And like editors and writers. Like, it opened up a lot of people's eyes that you can still do the same job, and arguably you could even be more effective at that job by working from home. Yeah. I have never entered a workforce in the true state it was meant to be in, of like waking up, doing the 9 to 5 at an office, making the commute, and like not until much later, but like that's how I started my workforce, was at home. I was starting at my first trailer house. I remember I was there for almost a year, strictly working from home. And then April of that year, they were like, hey, everybody gear up and grab your stuff. We're moving back into our place. Like, we're going to be in person, this, that, and the other. And at the time, we were out in LA. We were still living in LA at the time. But it was still a commute because of just... Yes, sir. Can I help you? You want to come back up?
And he's back.
Great. It was still a pretty hefty commute, and it was still really bad. And they were like, well, it's a hybrid office, so Mondays and Fridays you can work from home, because everybody hates working on Mondays and you want to be home on Fridays. And it was still really bad. Yeah. Those were the worst. That was the worst year and a half of my life in terms of work, because it was just like the most brutal thing ever. Yeah. I was doing something that I felt like I wasn't getting appreciated in. I was putting in way too much effort that wasn't even getting recognized. Like, it was just not... And then, like, also driving a stupid amount from just outside of LA to inside of LA. And it was just bad. It was just not great. And I felt like I wasn't doing anything that was productive while being in the office. Because we were playing video games in the office. We had so much downtime. Yeah. We had, like, set up, like, it looked like a college dorm in our room. Like, it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I remember you showing me
stuff. It was so cool, because I have a little mini projector, and we would play, like, we looked up, like, long play videos of, like, people playing, like, all of the first Red Dead game, or, like, people fully completing, like, a video. Like, it was just, like, random stuff that we could just have as, like, background noise. We had, like, lights up everywhere, like the LED lights that you would see in a college dorm, like, everything. Like, a bunch of little stuff. So it was not taken seriously at all. And it was, like, as much as I didn't like... I don't want to say I didn't like it, but, like, as much as I felt like it wasn't the right choice for me work-wise, the people were incredible. Yeah. I loved my coworkers. We all leaned on each other. It was great. And I have that at this place as well, too. And I am very appreciative of that. And I am now currently working from home with the option to go in. I still have a bit of a commute, but it's not as bad. But I think it's super important to find what works for you, for what you can do. And given, like, you don't have a choice, you have to go in, like, make it work. Like, you make it work. But like editing wise, like, almost all of my current coworkers are remote. Yeah. I mean, we even have, like, an editor who lives in Oregon. So it's been very rewarding for people to do that. A lot of my coworkers have kids. Like, a lot of my editors have kids, so it's better for them to do that as well, because they're at home. They can go and help their kids or whatever, and they're very small. Like, some of them are very young. So I honestly, like, I love it. I've never not loved it. So that's that. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's ridiculous that people want to push back on it. It's just, in, like, even in the sense of, even you're just looking at the film industry, it's like, you're not going to tell a writer that they can't write for a movie because they live in Massachusetts, or you're not going to tell an actor, well, because now you live in Texas instead of LA, you got to live in LA to shoot the movie. You wouldn't ever tell any of those other positions. Like, I think especially editing, it's like, I mean, besides being in, like, an edit bay, what really, I mean, especially with technology the way it is now, with things like Zoom and even, Discord, things like that, it's like, you don't really need to, I think something the pandemic did show a lot of us is, like, you can make these things like we already are so interconnected and almost too linked to one another across the globe. You can make these things in different areas, and I think it's kind of it is sort of like you are maybe not even getting some of the best artists in the field of editing that you can, because you're like, well, but you gotta be able to hop on the 5 and you know hop on the 210 and get down to me you know by 9 o'clock, brother. It's like you could have someone that's like the greatest editor in Texas, and you're gonna want that because they might not have as many opportunities. I just keep going to Texas because the film industry is trying to, you know, get more stuff in
weird,
Texas.
Yeah, it's weird that they're branching.
That's just another area. They're trying to get better tax incentives
it's like
over
Georgia.
there. Oh yeah, well that one that's because they have great tax incentives.
Yeah.
People are trying to make Texas like the next Georgia essentially. But it's like you could have a kid that's like super great at editing, but he lives in Washington. It's like I don't care. I'd want him to work at my company, even if he only is able to do work from home. It's like I don't need him to. There used to always be this idea of like, well, if you want to make it in Hollywood, you got to go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that is true for some professions, like, you know, for something like directing, writing, like things like that, producing, acting. But I mean, acting, you know, it's always been. You could also make it in New York.
Yeah.
A lot of there is. You know,
now self-tapes are a big
exactly.
thing.
Yeah,
like,
you could live anywhere. Yeah.
I think it's honestly like I think the new norm is actually like hopping on a Zoom call, because there are a lot of people who like casting teams aren't always based in LA anymore.
Yeah.
And so they're just kind of doing it with whatever. I mean, even if they are based in LA, but at the time they're doing something in a different state, like it's very easy to like do that. And it's I'm happy and like even like with like editing and graphics, like any VFX graphics people, stuff like that, easily you can do from home, because even then it's like because I was thinking about it, and it's like realistically like you if you're working on like a full-blown feature, then like you'd want to be in person for that, because it's a lot of like media that is going through, and it's a very like size intensive project. But then even still, there's so many programs now and companies that are data transfer that are approved and like selected and preferred by so many business like off the top of my head, like I know Hulu and Amazon and I believe Warner Brothers too. They all have like a trusted data transfer. It's secure, it's safe, like only, you know, who you're working with and you have that connect, like it's very secure. So it's like and especially with how movies are being shot now, you're not transferring a massive wheel of a reel of a whole movie where it's like this big and it's like a little kid waddling around with it anymore. Like it's movies are like 50 gigs now. It's like half of a terabyte. Like they're not big anymore. So it's like realistically you can pretty much pick up and work wherever. And it's just you know, I'm gonna say it. It's old Hollywood. It's old Hollywood people who are so stuck in I know. It's these old people in Hollywood who are pushing against wanting to keep the traditional stuff alive. And I get it. There's certain stuff of that is respected and it's cool and it could be used and stuff. I don't know what's happening here.
I'm sleeping.
There are certain aspects of like old Hollywood norms that are like, like that's tradition. That's a convenient thing to do. It's also most of it is really bad and outdated now. Like a lot of people are like the age old thing of like the industry standard is Avid. I hate Avid. I think it's stupid. It's like riding a bike that's on fire downhill with no brakes. It's dumb. I don't like it. And yet everybody, anytime I say that, I'm immediately met with, well, that's industry standard. It's like, really not though. Like people are now using Premiere more than ever. And a lot of people are actually trying to switch. Yeah. So it's like, it's just people who are in a position where maybe they were a PA when it was still very old Hollywood prominent, and that's just how it was. And they're so stuck in that, which is like cool for you. Also though, it's 2025. Like new problems need new ideas and new like terms and new programs and everything like that, it's going to force its way in whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of how fast you want to get on board. It's not a matter of whether or not you want to use it. It's how fast are you going to get on board with it. Because Studio A and Studio B have already been on this for 3 months and they're thriving. Whereas like Studio C and D are hesitant and Studio E refuses to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's making
Yeah.
and churning more stuff out? And it's like you don't want to have a place that it's like churning out pointless content and churning out pointless movies and stuff like that just because they can.
Yeah.
It's new and
Yeah.
it works. And it's only going to progressively get new, like
Mhm.
more and more newer. So it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's weird to think that people are so against it if it's working, and it's also more effective. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like working from home because then
Yeah.
I don't have to wear real clothes either. It's awesome.
I have to work. I have to wear real clothes, and I wish I didn't have to.
I go wear sweatpants every day.
I really thought that was very insightful.
Thank you. I have
Now,
a lot of nice things to say.
as a struggling storyteller, you know, we try and focus on the personal as well as the
Mhm.
passion. In the last 2 years, you also have gotten engaged. Congratulations. And so, how do you think that's going to continue to inform your career as a storyteller? How do you think that that's going to
I mean,
moving into that part of your life, I should say?
I don't think it's gonna change all that much,
Mm-hmm.
cause like we're going on 5 years now,
Mhm.
which we'll be getting married on our 5th year anniversary. So cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, there hasn't been, for me, there hasn't been any difference in having you be with me as my best friend, as my boyfriend, as my fiance, and will be as my husband. Like that support and that proudness doesn't change.
Yeah.
So like I know that no matter what, if one day I'm like having such a great day and you're so happy to see me having a great day at work,
Yeah.
that's cool. And then there's going to be days where like I'm having the worst day and then I have a mental breakdown, and you are still going to be there and have that support and be just as proud. In the same token that like I will be so proud of you and so supportive of you, even if you work at an AMC or if you just drop, my brain just went somewhere. Even or like if you come out with your audio drama and it takes off.
You mean Crusades of the Nexus logo pop up on the screen?
Do we have a logo? We do have a logo.
I have a logo. It's my eye.
Put that up.
Huh?
Do you want me to put that up?
Yeah, I said it has to have. I mean, the audio people know,
That's
but
true.
but the video people.
Alright,
Crusades of Nexus logo.
It's right here.
I'm holding it in my hands.
Fits
Oh
his-
my gosh! It's
looking
on the
at it.
TV.
It's on. Oh, that's so much work. Don't make me do all that work. No, but I mean, I am a very big believer in.
Also, that thing better take off.
It will.
Working on that thing for almost 3
It will.
years.
No, and I know it will, because when you, I admire you so much as a creative and as like a peer, even despite
as a fellow thespian.
as a fellow filmmaker and creative. No, but like our relationship aside, I say this every single time to every person that I've ever met. I have never met a person who is like you in the way of you are so creative to where you are constantly coming up with stuff. Even like it is the best and most annoying trait but it's true, because it's like it takes some people who are like locked into like writing rooms at Netflix like weeks. Like they do not see their families. They will be locked in there. I know.
That scared him. He thought he wasn't going to see his family.
It's crazy. But I like you are constantly coming up with anything and everything. And it makes me just like so in awe, because I've never seen somebody operate that way and have like this creative like engine going. So it's like to have that within your space literally and figuratively, like when we're in the office, we're literally sitting next to each other and I can hear you like just writing away. And also just being within that like sphere of always having like stuff come up and always like having it be a productive space, that makes me feel like I can keep going. And even if I'm not creating, which I would like to be, even if I'm not, it still puts me in that space of like, well, I can go a little extra today with work. Like I can push myself a little bit more because he's pushing himself creatively. Is that like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
it's like that meme. Why didn't you give up? Because he didn't. And
Yeah.
it's like a picture of like Vegeta or something. Maybe for me it's Vegeta.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that, I mean, like, it also, you know, in a personal sense, it always helps when you have that person in your corner and that person that you can lean on when, you know, it hits the fan.
Yeah.
And on the good days where things are really good and you've had a very creative day and you've gotten a lot done, or like it's just a good day and it didn't take long and I didn't rip my hair out, like, or even on the bad days where it's like you feel like you weren't productive because you didn't write or you couldn't think of anything to write or whatever, or if I'm just having a bad work day, like it's having that like what's the word I'm looking for? It's having that like respective there-ness. I don't know what the word I'm trying to find, but it's just knowing that you have somebody who is in your corner and understands to a point like the frustration and the creativity and the workflows and everything in between, like who understands the industry, because it's a very like our industry is a very unforgiving industry. It is brutal. Whether you're in it, you know somebody who's in it, you're dating somebody who's in it, like it is insane. And I mean, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but it's not it's not for the weak-hearted for sure, in any aspect of it, whether you're doing like whether you're a PA or you're a director or you're acting, like whatever, it's not for the weak-hearted at all. And I think it's super important to make sure that your personal life, you have somebody who can not only understand that, but also in a way almost relate to it or like equate to it. Because there's no, like, it's so hard.
It's hard to explain any of it,
because you can't be like, I'm just having a really bad day. And he's like, why? It's like, I just couldn't think of anything. And like the most like vanilla response like is like, well, just think of something. Go take a walk. It's like, that's not how this works.
No. It's as you said, you know, it is unforgiving, but I do think that it helps us. You know, I know some people, it helps them to have relationships outside of the industry. And I mean, but then again, those relationships can suffer because it is such a weird industry. I think for us, it works because we know what the other is going through, even if we don't 100% know the experience. Like, you know, I've talked about, I haven't worked an industry job in it's about to be 3 years now, and you know, you've heard me complain and stuff like that and be bummed out about that fact, but it's like, you know, I try my best to, you know, stay present with what I'm doing, and like I treat Crusades of the Nexus as if I'm making you know, it's the biggest project of my life. It's my magnum opus. You know, it's not the medium I want to work in, but you know, you support me with that. You listen to me talk about ideas for it. If you people knew what how far I've mentioned this on the show, like I almost, and you know, other people would probably wait till they get the first thing out to see if people even want it. I'm like, you wouldn't believe how
like 5 seasons ahead now.
I'm almost done with the second in between season special. I have an entire spin-off season mapped out. I haven't outlined it, but I have that mapped out. And then I have volumes 3 through 6. I know exactly where the story goes and all those. 6 being where which all of it's leading to that. But
And I have heard every single.
oh yeah,
idea.
there's story beats that I have known since 2022 that I have expounded upon and pitched, even when the series had a different name. And I've talked about how pivots I've had to make because of actor availability and things like some people wanting to not play a certain character, so I had to change a character to fit what would work. And Campbell Russell Troutman, the cuck, he will be back on. I also I have a lot of, I do, to pivot again, I'll tease, I do have Not Just a Guy guests lined up. I'll keep talking about that in future episodes, but no, it's just like it's been nice to have that anchor. And I know even if I know that you're just as supportive of my job that has nothing to do with the industry, and vice versa. When you went from being full-time to freelance, I was just as supportive when you work at the coffee shop. It was nice because you would come home earlier and you'd be done. I mean,
Exactly.
and it was just like, we still try to find a way to be each other's cheerleaders and our biggest fans and biggest supporter, even in these tumultuous unknown times. And it is fun working on stuff together. I mean, we've been working on and off on stuff together since 2022, when we made the Quarantine Life of Zach Carter, my goat, my king. May he rest in peace. Zach Carter didn't die, but there wasn't. I can say this when
I don't remember
when Crusades of the Nexus. I've talked about this on the show as well. When it was going to be a series of shorts that would culminate in what has now become 6 volumes and a whole spin-off sister series. It was going to be a series of shorts, and I had the idea of like one of the alternate things being like Zach Carter, but he'd be dead or something like that. But
don't kill off Zach.
oh, I'm never gonna
We
touch him.
love
I'm never gonna touch him again. But it was just
Zach
like
is in a
funny.
vault.
I was gonna make him
Stephen
like he was
O'Leary.
gonna be in the shared universe.
No.
Which is weird to talk
Leave
this.
him alone.
It's weird to talk even about stuff like that because I haven't shown a single thing for Crusade, so it's weird to even talk about like saying shared universe. But it'll make sense when the thing comes out. It's very hard to explain, and you're gonna get to edit that. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be your first audio only thing you'll be editing. But I think that'll be interesting because you'll have a big hand in shaping how it even is. Because I wrote it, I gave the directions, the actors went and did their own thing separate. And then you're the person who has to bring it all together and find the right noises and everything. And then it's going to be probably the first thing where I'm like literally over your shoulder in the edit bay. But, that's going to be...
That's a whole other can of
Yeah,
worms.
it's a whole big undertaking. We're working on that still. We have, our wonderful composer is, he has the notes. He's working on stuff. Stephen Cruz, shout out, does the Not Just a Guy theme. And we're slowly. I just have 2 actors left that need to do main stuff. You and another actor. We're almost there. We're getting there. We're almost done. I want to get that out to the world so badly. But it all comes back to just talking about how we're making our way through life. It's a tough world. It's really tough. It's unforgiving. But, we're doing it with love and passion for what we do. And I think we're both just kind of lucky that we found each other and we have this shared passion for storytelling. And then we found this little guy, this little man, this little boy, Farzi Darj, Cheese himself.
Well, and I feel like it's super important that it's a shared passion and we're also trying to navigate it together.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine doing this by myself.
No, I would be...
It's so depressing sometimes.
Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of goes back into, like, me saying, like, it's nice to have that person to lean on. Because it can get very dark. And I know a handful of people that we went to school with who, like, I'll be looking through something. Like, I'll be on Instagram or, like, whatever. And they're, like... a doctor now.
Yeah.
Like, they're in real estate. Like, the most random things.
A Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Like, it's... I don't know. It's, like, the most random stuff where it's, like, they just couldn't...
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
It just couldn't
happen. I mean, you see that more and more. I think it's just... just makes me even more happier that that we're doing this as a team, as a unit. And yeah, I don't really know what much else to add to that. I mean, we are. It's a very exciting time in our lives. We're in the sub 150 days to getting married. We're almost there.
110 days.
Why would you date the episode?
Oh.
I mean, that just means you have to edit really quick and get this episode out on this exact day.
I mean,
that was the plan, but now you have to.
I mean, I was going to do that anyway.
I know, but you have to now. 110 days. But yeah, it's interesting. It's like, even in a time where I feel like I'm so lost in my storytelling journey, I mean, in some ways, it's nice that, like, I try to make a big thing to keep my personal life and my filmmaking life separate, and my storytelling life. I'm trying to keep those separate.
Yeah.
Because I was actually just listening to John Barenthal talk about this, about, like, don't let your career trajectory influence your personal happiness, because then you'll never be happy. He's like, try and find the happiness outside of it, so that whatever happiness you get from your career isn't what is making you happy in general. Like, that's a different level of happy and kind of happy.
It
so
should add to it.
It should be its own separate thing that fills you up and that gives you some sense of being and some kind of feeling. It stirs something up in you that's separate. It's not it's not being married to the love of my life. It's not having Farsi Darj. It's not time I spend with my mom, my niece, my sister, my dad, my family. Like, when I go home and spend time with them, it's not what is feeding me and fueling me, essentially.
Yeah. It shouldn't be one or the other.
Yeah.
It should be
they're each doing their own separate things, and feeling down in one shouldn't influence the other, and vice versa. But I think that's going to do it for this edition of Not Just a Guy. I'm very happy you hopped on this one, because, like I said, I had no idea what I was going to talk about. But yeah, I really enjoyed having you. You're always welcome. I mean, you usually are down the hall when I'm recording. I mean, yeah, you're usually literally down the hall. I hope you enjoyed. This is the first 2-shot in Not Just a Guy.
Ta-da.
I have many guests, as I said, lined up. Those 2 guests, actually, I can say 2 that are lined up. The first ones that will be a 1 return and 1 debut will be Roberto Lara, my the guy's guy. He will be returning to the show 2 years out from his last appearance, and now he is a Faja. We'll be discussing that. He's officially Papa. And then we also have my good friend Julian Dagnino, who I work with. He is also a film school alumni. It's a different film school, but he has many stories, including his time working with Roddy Piper. Those 2 we will eventually have on, but they are the next 2 confirmed guests. But again, Emily, thank you, my love. It's weird calling you your first name, because I never call you that.
Don't call me my government.
I know. I don't like you when you call
Once
me.
this podcast is over, we're gonna have to just not say each other's full government
I don't like when
name
you call me my God-given name. But that's going to do it for Not Just a Guy. Follow us on the socials at Not Just a Guy Pod. Support us so we can feed our baby boy. What else? Like, comment, subscribe. The video to stop. This throw up the Not Just a Guy graphic. We're still going. Follow us, like, comment, do all that good stuff. I've been your host, Not Just a Guy, the guy, Garrett Briones, and thank you for letting me talk at you. This has been a Bachelor Class production. Hosted by Garrett Briones, edited by Emily Cunningham, music provided by Stephen Cruz. For more information, follow us at Bachelor Class.